Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us to learn more about our summer 2023 pre-college programs for high school students that's being offered by the Columbia Climate School and Putney Student Travel. My name is Laurel and I am the program manager of the K-12 and continuing education programs at the Columbia Climate School. And we're so excited to have you join us today. A little bit of the logistics before we get started. Feel free to use the Q&A button at the bottom of the Zoom webinar to leave any questions that you may have about the application process, the programs, or any questions that you have for our experts. We'll have staff members from Putney Student Travel monitor the Q&A throughout the entire presentation, and we'll have time to answer those questions live at the end. So the format of today's session will be to provide a brief introduction to our organizations behind this effort, so the Columbia Climate School and Putney Student Travel. And then we're going to dive into what you might expect if you are going to join us for the Columbia Climate School and the Green Mountains program, or the Columbia Climate Corps program, or both. I want to start with a few introductions. So today we have Evan Overton from Putney Student Travel joining us today. Evan directly assists the Columbia Climate School pre-college summer programs. Thanks for joining, Evan. And we have Julian Hartman-Russell, who will also be joining us from Putney Student Travel. Julian will specifically be monitoring the Q&A to help address any of your questions. And on the Columbia side, we have Laurel DiSera, who will be one of the experts of the Green Mountains program. We have Dr. David Goldberg and Dr. Claire Nelson, who are the Columbia Climate School experts joining for the Iceland Climate Corps program. So we're so excited to have all of these experts here with us today. The Columbia Climate School's mission is to develop and inspire knowledge-based solutions and to educate future leaders for just and prosperous societies on a healthy planet. So we're really excited because this is the first new school at Columbia in over 25 years. The Columbia really recognized that there's a need for a climate school, as climate change is one of society's greatest challenges and an intergenerational human rights concern. Climate change will disproportionately impact people that are already severely disadvantaged, and the challenges are difficult and complex, and they require innovative, coordinated, and transdisciplinary approaches to solving these challenges. Therefore, the Climate School is designed to address these challenges as it's guided by transdisciplinary research, partnerships, education, innovative technologies, and the sharing of ideas with the focus on having a direct impact on the world. The Climate School, while it's new, it's not a new fabrication. It really builds upon 75 years of leading research in the earth sciences, and the leaders at the Columbia Climate School have been thinking across the university about how we might develop complex solutions to these challenges of climate change. So we have more than 700 scientists, faculty, researchers, public health experts, lawyers, and staff working from over 20 different institutes involved in the school to combine their scholarship and teaching so we can come to a comprehensive array of solutions. In addition, the Climate School is committed to offering multidisciplinary educational opportunities for graduate, undergraduate, and pre-college students, as they are the next generation of change makers that are essential stakeholders to address the climate crisis. So why are young people so critical? Well, climate is a long-term problem. We're experiencing the challenges now, but the next generations are going to be the most affected. So young people, they need to be a part of the solutions in developing new climate technologies, ways to combat climate injustices, and new adaptation approaches to climate impacts. And the way that we do that is by equipping young people with the knowledge, the skills, and the tools to drive these solutions. And it's not that we need everyone to become a climate scientist. We need a diversity of skills and passions and careers, with climate science serving as the underpinning of their work. So our pre-college programs demonstrate how we can bring earth processes, climate science, and sustainability into everything that you want to pursue as a career. Whether you do want to be a climate scientist, or a lawyer, or a politician, or an artist, a doctor, or a professional in any other sector, climate will impact you and your work, but you can be a part of the solution. So a core piece of our pre-college programs is developing young people into community leaders. Much of the work happens at the local level, so we need climate activists to mobilize communities and drive change. In our partnership with Putney Student Travel, we offer unparalleled summer experiences for students to go in the field and on the ground with Columbia Climate School experts to become immersed in climate content that high schoolers just don't normally have access to. So now I'm going to pass it over to Evan to share a little bit more about Putney Student Travel's history, mission, and goals.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm zooming in from Vermont, where our headquarters is based. Putney Student Travel is a family organization now in its third generation, and we've been traveling the world since 1951 with the mission to change students' lives through experiential education. We are going into our 73rd summer and just really excited to be able to partner with the Columbia Climate School to offer these opportunities to young people. Our Putney Student Travel programs are unique experiential learning opportunities, and some are small group travel-based programs, other are larger campus-based programs, and both formats are offered through the Columbia Climate School summer programs, with the campus-based program in Vermont at the Columbia Climate School in the Green Mountains, and the small group traveling programs, the Columbia Climate Corps. Putney is known for a worldwide network of international contacts, resources, and over 70 years of successful trips with students going all around the world. We have a 24-hour emergency line for parents over the summer. We definitely prioritize health and safety as the #1, but we really are trying to get out there with students and make connections, have authentic connections with local culture, and not just be on a tour where we're getting on the bus and getting off, but we really want to dig deep and see what's out there in the world. And through the collaboration with Columbia University's Climate School, we really think these opportunities are unique ones that young people should be interested in. I am going to speak a little bit about the application process. We will answer questions about this later, but basically it is a process of putting down a $700 payment to hold space on the program. That $700 payment is composed of a $500 deposit to the program fee and a $200 non-refundable application fee. Our admissions process is on a rolling basis, so we do admit students until the programs are fully enrolled. So we would encourage you to reach out sooner than later if you are interested in any of the programs for this summer. At this point, I'm going to hand it back over to Laurel. And again, we will answer any questions about the application process or the programs themselves. So please don't hesitate to put any questions into the Q&A box. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Evan. All right. So now we're going to share a little bit about our first pre-college summer program, which is the Columbia Climate School in the Green Mountains. This is a campus-based program that is located at Vermont State University's picturesque 165-acre campus. So students of the Green Mountains program, they're going to be joining a cohort of like-minded students from across the country and the world to learn from each other and collaborate to gain an understanding of the multifaceted aspects of climate change, to learn about individual roles in climate action, and engage in meaningful conversations about taking action in their own communities. So you might be asking, why Vermont? Well, Vermont is the perfect location to learn about climate solutions, as Vermont's a leader in the US for green energy. They have rapidly increased renewable energy like wind and solar, and increased energy efficiency, all while building jobs and lowering electric rates. So Vermont is showing the country how one maybe smaller state can move the needle in the right direction in addressing climate change while building a more sustainable economy for its people. Therefore, Vermont State University really is the perfect classroom or laboratory to see how climate science, technology, and policy can be applied in real life. In addition, Putney Student Travel is extremely well connected in their home state of Vermont, and they're able to connect the students of the Green Mountains program with a diverse network of sustainability practitioners to learn about the on-the-ground solutions. Students will also experience all that Vermont has to offer by exploring the local area and immersing themselves in the beauty of the Green Mountains. This is our third year in running this summer program. The dates for this summer are July 2nd through July 14th. It's a 13-day, 12-night program. The fee is $6,290, and this is an all-inclusive fee that covers accommodation, meals, program activities, field excursions and weekend trips, and transportation during the program. These programs are designed for 9th through 12th grade high school students, but we also will accept motivated rising 9th grade students. So I'm now going to share just a brief video from the summer 2021, so you can hear a little bit about the program from the students and the instructors.
Climate is a problem that affects all of us globally, locally.
Guys, sometimes you might look at something and be like, there's nothing there. Look hard.
At the Columbia Climate School, we are extremely passionate about education, and we are very interested in preparing our future generations to face the impacts and have a much better understanding of the science behind climate change so that they can take action.
It's one thing to be teaching in a classroom, but when you're teaching about climate, there's nothing that's better than being out in the field.
Climate change is so important to me, mostly because where I'm from and the culture there. To elaborate on because where I'm from, South Texas has wonderful and beautiful beaches and marine life and natural life, and climate change threatens that on so many levels.
The most interesting thing that I've learned is that when dealing with big issues like climate change, you have to think in terms of these systems, so not just focusing on one problem, but looking at how that one problem interacts with all the other problems.
It's so important for young people to get involved in the climate problem and finding climate solutions.
This program has motivated me to want to help my local environmental organizations and just offer knowledge that maybe people in my community don't have the access to.
These teenagers are curious, energetic, quite activated by this issue.
Some of the ideas that they've had have been something that we've learned a lot from and are really planning to incorporate into our work as well.
It's just a perfect opportunity for them to start their climate journeys and to go back to their own communities and take action.
Okay, so that was just a little bit from the students and the instructors from the first year of the program. And I've actually had the opportunity to join the Green Mountains program from its inception. And one of my favorite parts about the program is the bi-directional learning that happens. So everyone in the program is coming from a diversity of backgrounds with different passions and skills. And this really provides incredible opportunities for mentorship and learning across many different relationships. So students can learn from mentors, mentors learn from students, and then students are learning from each other as well. So as we head in towards the end of the program, at the end of the 2 weeks, it's always really amazing for me to see the growth of the student knowledge and the confidence that the students gain. This is particularly evident during their final presentations of their climate action plans, which is an important component of this experience. So just a short presentation at the end of the program, but you can just see the students flourishing and sharing how they're going to bring change to their own communities. So we place a strong emphasis on academics in our pre-college programs. Each summer, the program content varies based on the feedback that we receive from the past participants. So this program, the summer themes are the science of climate change, which is really going to focus on natural variability versus anthropogenic or human-caused climate change. We're going to be looking at climate projections and models and what these climate projections are sharing for future impacts, climate information and decision making. Then we're going to review climate impacts and resilience. So this includes global processes and local impacts, preparedness and risk, recovery and planning, and mitigation and adaptation. We have an expert that will be sharing about international climate policies and negotiations. So that will include the Sustainable Development Goals, the Paris Agreement, different decarbonization pathways and ways forward in the energy transition, ways to monitor and measure our progress, as well as the United Nations climate change conferences. This is a new topic of this year, but we're going to be really diving into the circular economy and sustainability. So we'll be talking about consumerism and the throwaway culture. How do we build a value chain, and what is required to develop new economic models and circular systems to reduce this throwaway living lifestyle. And then finally, we end with climate action and advocacy. So learning about local community impacts and different strategies that we can use to address these impacts through a climate action plan, and ways that youth can be leaders in their communities to implement these plans. So in addition to the academic rigor that we ensure, we also make sure that the students get to have fun and are given opportunities to do so. So there are a variety of different activities and immersive experiences that students participate in throughout the program. This includes speaker series, team building and networking activities, excursion and field-based lessons, small group workshops, and as we've mentioned a few times now, this final climate action project where students are developing their own solutions to address one climate challenge in their community. They share these projects at the end of the program with the Columbia Climate School experts and their peers to gain any advice or feedback, so ultimately they can bring this plan back to their communities. So this summer, we have 7 Columbia Climate School experts that will be leading lessons and activities for the Green Mountains program. The experts of the program are leaders in a variety of sectors, including climate science, social science, sustainability, finance, and policy. All are committed to equipping students with the tools that they need to take local action for global climate impacts. We're going to start with one of our amazing experts who's actually with us today, Laurel DiSera. So Laurel, I'll pass it over to you to introduce yourself and your work.
Thanks, Laurel. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Just wanted to introduce myself. So my name is Laurel. Like the other Laurel said, there are 2 of us. I'm a student at Columbia University studying climate science. I specifically research climate physics and understanding why rainfall patterns vary from year to year around the world and what contributes to that, what we call climate variability. I'm also a leader of DEIA initiatives at my research institute. I'm a dog mom, do a lot of walking with my dog, and I love swing dancing. So that's a little bit about me. The class that I'll be teaching is on climate science basics. So you'll learn about the climate system, climate physics, radiative balance, and with solar radiation, what that means, the greenhouse effect, and basic thermodynamics. So the physics, really. We'll learn about climate feedbacks in addition to climate change and climate variability. And I think that it's really important that you all are super interested in this, and Laurel talked a little bit about this earlier, but youth have so many great ideas, and we at the Green Mountains program really love to foster those ideas and to hear and learn more about what you know and what you can bring, because you are the future. So we're back over to you, Laurel.
Oh, Laurel, I think we might be losing you a bit here. Do you want to try again with your video off?
Yeah, we can try. I'm not sure what you heard, but I had finished a little while ago, so I can try again. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. You were talking about the importance of youth in the climate movement.
Perfect. That was pretty much the end of what I was saying. Very excited to work with the youth because we have so many ideas that can really bring us forward in this movement dealing with climate change. So yeah. Sorry about that cut out.
No problem at all. It happens. So thank you, Laurel, for joining us. I also wanted to introduce Josh DeVincenzo. Josh works at the National Center for Disaster Preparedness, and he really focuses on developing learning experiences associated with FEMA training projects that navigate housing and economic recovery. So ways to build resilience in communities to build resilience before a disaster, but also to recover after a disaster. Miriam Nilsson is really interested in how severe hazards will change under warming and the vulnerability of people and ecosystems to these changes. So she uses large-scale climate data sets and model simulations to investigate regional climate and ecosystem dynamics related to precipitation and drought. Miriam also creates online educational videos about climate change and environmental advocacy. So for those of you who are interested in potentially leveraging these videography skills for your climate action plan, Miriam would definitely be someone to look to. Martin Dietrich Brock is a lead researcher at the Columbia Center on Sustainable Investment. So Martin leads economic and legal research, training, and advisory work with a focus on legal and policy frameworks and practices for sustainable investment to achieve climate change mitigation and adaptation goals. So these goals include decarbonization and a just transition to net zero emissions energy systems and economies, and other sustainable development goals. So Martin will be leading lots of discussions around the SDGs and what a just energy transition looks like. Sandra Goldberg is an associate professor of professional practice in the Department of Theater at Barnard College and the director of campus sustainability and climate action at Barnard College. So Sandra is also the founder of Fix Up, which uses a multidisciplinary approach to focus on creating innovative solutions to use and innovative solutions to the use and discard culture. So this organization helps people care for what they have and reduce waste from new manufacturing and creates local jobs. So Sandra has a really interesting pathway. She didn't start in sustainability. She started in theater, as you heard in her title, but she noticed the amount of waste that was generated during theater productions and setup. And so it really drove her to think about solutions through the circular economy. And so Sandra is now going to be an expert in sharing about sustainability and circular economy strategies with the students in the Green Mountains program. And finally, I will be joining the Green Mountains program. So I have a background in sustainability science, and I have a lot of experience working with young people to teach them about environmental science, sustainability, and climate science, as well as ways that we can leverage young creativity to build solutions that you can bring back to your own communities. So I will be helping you develop your climate action plans. We're going to be doing a lot of workshops and activities around these things. I also, a little side note, have a background in marine science, and I know there is a river on campus, so we can kind of walk around in the river, flip some rocks, see what little critters we can find, and explore the biodiversity of the area around Vermont. Okay, so the other summer pre-college program opportunity is the Columbia Climate Corps program. So the Climate Corps are small group climate and sustainability focused traveling programs that are designed to motivate high school students designed for motivated high school students to intentionally travel to various locations across the US and abroad to experience a destination through the lens of climate change. So each of these climate core programs focuses on one or two location-specific themes. As with the Green Mountains program, students will be joined by Columbia Climate School experts for a portion of the trip. They will be leading on delivering the program theme content. All these trips have final projects for the students to take back with them and enact change. And the project will be utilizing and applying the knowledge gained across these different themes. So in summer 2023, we offer 3 climate core opportunities. We're going to be going to Alaska, focusing on the theme of climate communications and exploration. This is a 2-week-long program from July 17th to July 28th. We'll also be going to Chile to focus on climate impacts and risk. This program is 3 weeks long from July 22nd to August 11th. And we'll also be traveling to Iceland to focus on carbon capture technologies for 2 weeks from July 20th to August 1st. As with the Green Mountains program, the fees associated with each of these programs are all inclusive. So it covers accommodations, meals, program activities, excursions, and transportation during the program. The fees you can see are right here. They vary based on the destination. This is our 2nd year offering the Iceland program. We're so excited. And Alaska and the Chile program are new offerings this summer. Okay, first, the Alaska program. So as I mentioned, this focuses on the theme of climate communications and exploration. So climate change is disproportionately impacting the Arctic as it's experiencing the most extreme warming. So this melts sea ice, glaciers, and permafrost, which is drastically shifting the indigenous community's way of life and threatening food security and livelihoods. So during this program, students will learn directly from a Columbia Climate School expert about how individuals and communities can come to understand and take action on climate change through communication and collaboration. So some key features about this program: students are going to be able to explore Peterson Bay Field Station on the Kenai Peninsula to learn about the preservation and sustainability initiatives that are led through research and stewardship through education. There's also a focus on learning from Native storytellers and cultural representatives at the Alaska Native Heritage Center. Students will get to visit one of Alaska's 100,000 receding glaciers to explore the changing ice with local guides and hike at Denali National Park to witness America's tallest mountain, Mount Denali. So this program, as I mentioned earlier, all of our programs are really geared toward high school students, grades 9th through 12th, but we also will accept rising, motivated 9th graders. So the expert of this program is Dr. Lisa Dale. Lisa co-directs and teaches at Columbia University's Climate School in the undergraduate program on sustainable development. And she focuses on the interdisciplinary communities and environment thematic area. Lisa is an expert at communicating with communities and gaining trust to collaborate with them to instill climate mitigation and adaptation strategies through the utilization of multi-generational knowledge. So Lisa is going to be an amazing mentor on this trip. She has a lot of experience working with communities in deploying these climate solutions. Our next traveling program is the Chile program that really focuses on the themes of climate impacts and risk. So originally this program was designed to travel to 2 different countries across 3 weeks, Chile and Peru. But given the current situation in Peru, we are going to be changing this program likely to Chile and Argentina. But the themes are the same, that we are really going to be honing in on learning about climate impacts and risk. And the reason for that is because this area plays a really important role in driving renewable energy transition, because there's an abundance of minerals in this area that are essential for batteries. However, the mining industry can have devastating impacts on the local community if it's done irresponsibly, which can drive climate injustice in the region. In addition, Chile is experiencing extreme climate challenges, including water insecurity due to diminishing water resources and melting glaciers. So during this program, students will learn directly from two Columbia Climate School experts about how climate change is affecting disasters and extreme events and how different solutions can be employed to mitigate and adapt to these impacts. So this trip, some key components. You will have the opportunity to take a day trip to Valparaiso and visit the Hydrographic and Oceanographic Service of the Navy to learn about disaster risk reduction strategies, tsunami risk, and warning systems that are set up in this region. Students will also be visiting the Hanging Glacier outside of Santiago and exploring the Chilean desert to examine the climate impacts and the role of human rights and gender equality in the mining sector, with a special attention on local communities. So this program runs for 21 days from July 22nd through August 11th. And if you have any questions about how we will be adapting and changing this program to a Chile and Argentina program, feel free to call us or our partners at Putney Student Travel, and we'd be happy to share more on this. So the experts that will be leading the Chile program are Antonia Samur and Nicholas Manling. Antonia has experience working in the interface of climate impacts and human development, focusing most of her academic and professional career to studying and developing tools to overcome the impacts that climate change and other disasters have on human development in vulnerable populations. Nicholas is a development economist with experience in academia, the public and private sectors. So he works for the German Development Corporation, which aims to promote responsible mining practices in the Andean region. So he works with governments, civil society, academia, and the private sector to implement socio-environmental standards along the mineral supply chain, which he also focuses on increasing community participation in decision making and supporting the efficient allocation of revenues from the sector in mining regions. And our last Climate Corps program is the Iceland program, which will be returning for another summer, focused on carbon capture technology. So Iceland is both experiencing extreme climate impacts due to the warming that is occurring in the Arctic, as I previously mentioned. But Iceland's also developing cutting-edge innovative solutions to climate change. So they are sequestering carbon through the injection of CO2 into basalt rock to form a solid carbonate mineral. So this is removing atmospheric CO2 and locking it into an underground rock reservoir, which mitigates climate change. So during this program, you'll learn from two Columbia Climate School experts who are climate scientists and engineer experts about the specifics and future landscape of carbon capture technologies. This program runs for 2 weeks from July 20th through August 1st. So some key, fun, amazing things of this program. You'll be able to go behind the scenes at a geothermal power plant to witness firsthand how Iceland is leading carbon capture projects through international partnerships. There's opportunities to go kayaking through pristine waters to scout for puffins, whales, and seals. You'll learn directly from geoengineers, volcanologists, glaciologists, and foresters who are working collaboratively to generate solutions to address atmospheric CO2 challenges. And these are just a few pretty incredible images from the trip last summer. All right, so now I will hand it over to Dr. David Goldberg and Dr. Claire Nelson, who will introduce themselves and share a little bit about their work and what they will be teaching during this program.
Hi, thanks, Laurel. So good afternoon, everyone. This is a really exciting trip. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Dave Goldberg, and I'm a Lamont Research Professor at Lamont-Doherty Earth Observatory. This is the Earth Observatory or Earth Science Laboratory for Columbia University and the Climate School, located about 15 miles north of New York City. And it's been an institution that's been instrumental in building a lot of our current day knowledge about the Earth, plate tectonics, oceanography, climate change. In fact, the term global warming was coined here in the 70s. And we are a very, very multidisciplinary. My training is as a geophysicist, and I've studied in a variety of settings around the globe, on the oceans, beaches, volcanoes, have participated in dozens of ocean cruises and field expeditions and many visits to Iceland. So it's an amazing place that I'm really quite excited about going back. As Laurel mentioned, my current research focuses on carbon capture and storage, and it uses all the multidisciplinary skills that I have and a lot that I don't. So we have collaborated quite closely with the Icelanders since the start of this project in Iceland. The idea of storing CO2 in volcanic rocks, basalt rocks, which cover most of Iceland. And it's only one of 2 spots in the world where this experiment has been done. And we'll visit that site. It's called the CarbFix project, tied to a geothermal plant there. And we'll learn about geothermal power. We'll learn about carbon capture. We'll learn about technologies to scrub CO2 from the air. We'll learn about storage of CO2 in volcanic rocks. And we'll see some fantastic geology in and around this area. And learn about the volcanism and hydrology and geochemistry of Iceland and why it's such an amazing and unique place. So I've had a lot of interactions with colleagues, as I mentioned, in many disciplines in this research, and most recently with Claire Nelson, who will join us on this program this summer. She'll introduce herself in a moment, but I want to note straight up, and most importantly, from my perspective, we're going to learn a tremendous amount from her on this trip. I think she did her PhD research in Iceland. So needless to say, it's great to get excited about this trip. And when we're done, I'm happy to answer any questions. Claire?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm Claire, and as Dave mentioned, I haven't so much worked all around the world like you have, Dave. I've pretty much only worked in Iceland thus far in my career. But I guess I'll start by saying I actually, before I became an academic, I worked in outdoor education, and so I have a lot of experience with experiential education, leading high school age students actually on Mount Adams in Washington, as well as in the Colorado Rockies. So I'm really excited to work again with this age group and get back into the world of experiential education, because I'm just really passionate about it and really excited about it. So yeah, I spent 5 years studying all things about the geology and geochemistry of Iceland during my PhD, and spent 2 summers doing field work there. So I'm very excited to go back. And right now I currently work on researching carbon storage in basalt at Lamont with Dave, and mostly looking at trying to scale what has been proven to work in a couple of systems, one of which we'll visit in Iceland. And yeah, I'm really excited for this trip to expose students not only to the amazing geoengineering work and really promising potential there, but as well as just how the natural systems work, and really kind of educate students on the natural geology and geochemistry that is the foundation for many different types of geoengineering technologies, aside from the one that we'll see. So yeah, I'm excited to get back into the field and share my passion for Iceland.
Thank you both so much. It's amazing to hear your background, and it's really exciting, all the fun things that you'll be able to do on this trip, and hearing from you from this really complex research angle. Learning about Iceland is just going to be a very unique experience. Okay, so now about the logistics, about applications, program eligibility, and next steps. I'm actually going to pass it over to Evan again, who's going to share about all of these logistical components.
So as Laurel had mentioned before, our programs are geared towards students in high school in grades 9 through 12, but we do consider rising freshmen who are currently in 8th grade if they are mature young people who understand that they would likely be on the younger side of the students in the program. Our admissions process is selective, but it's not meant to be super rigorous. So again, the first step of the process is obviously for students to determine the program that they're most interested in participating on. But then a family would make a $700 payment to hold space on the program, which is composed of a $200 non-refundable application fee and a $500 deposit. After that payment is made to hold space, then the application process allows the student to submit their applicant statement, 2 teacher references, and an agreement form, which is signed by student and parent. Once those 3 items are received, our admissions team will take a look and make an admissions decision, and students can expect to hear that decision pretty soon after they complete submission of all those required parts of the application. We do offer scholarships, so that is one thing I wanted to highlight, but it is a separate process from the main process to apply for the program with the Apply Now button on the main page. To apply for a scholarship, students will see the instructions on the applications and scholarships page of the website, and they need to apply through the specific link on that page and make sure that they meet the eligibility guidelines. First of all, students must be residents of the United States, and there are financial eligibility guidelines that are detailed on the website. There is some flexibility for larger household sizes, and we encourage anyone with questions about the scholarship to give us a call here at Putney Student Travel, and we can talk through the process and provide any help in guiding students through applying. The deadline is March the 15th, so that's a bit over a month from now, and we really encourage students who are eligible for the scholarship to get their applications in sooner than later, because it's a great opportunity and is a full scholarship to pay for all program fees and costs of travel to and from the program. Partial scholarships are also available for students who don't qualify for the full scholarships. So again, I encourage applicants to take a look at those details and reach out to Putney Student Travel with any additional questions. I think that covers the main parts of the application process. If I'm forgetting anything, Laurel, of course, feel free to let me know. We definitely, I think, have time for any questions. If any participants have any questions at the moment, feel free to put them there into the Q&A box, and we will answer them for the group or in that Q&A box if they're maybe not relevant for the whole group. Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely want to open it up to questions now. Really take advantage of this time to ask questions to our experts, Laurel, Claire, and Dave. It's a really great opportunity to learn directly from them about these programs and even about their work if you're curious to learn more. So feel free, populate those questions now. I also just wanted to share a couple more unique aspects of our program while we're waiting for these questions to populate. So the climate school is really providing these unique pre-college opportunities that are quite unlike any other pre-college opportunity out there. Given that you have the opportunity to learn directly from Columbia Climate School experts. So the folks that are joining on these programs, they are staff, they are researchers, faculty, and experts from the climate school. We don't hire outside of the climate school for these programs, which means that you as a student are engaged in networking and learning from those that are leaders in their field. So you will get to learn about this cutting edge research that they are engaged in, as well as the work that they're doing, which is really unique and kind of sets us apart from some other opportunities that may be out there. Also, all of our programs are really focused on the immersive field experience. So learning can happen in a lot of different places, but we think that some of the most memorable and impactful learning happens while you're in the field. So the ability to learn on the ground while you're doing it in the place where it's happening is a really perfect setting for young people to really connect with the topics and the themes and to pursue them in the future if they would like. So we find that this learning is particularly powerful. We also don't put on any pressures that school might have, such as grading or testing. This is purely learning and engaging with like-minded individuals for the sake of your own personal growth and trajectory for your own careers and futures. I do see we have a question in the chat. Are the Columbia Climate School experts on the entire Iceland trip or only a portion? Can you be specific? Thank you. Yes, of course. So the experts that will be joining for the Climate Core programs are there for 5 days. They are not there for the entire time, but during those 5 days, you'll be learning from them intimately every single day. You'll be having either activities or lessons or different interactive team building workshops with the experts directly. For the Green Mountains program, we have 7 different experts, as we shared, and each expert joins for about 3 days in the program to deliver their expertise. And as you saw in that Green Mountains curriculum, we kind of build starting with the climate science foundations, to impacts, to policy, to sustainability solutions, to ultimately building your climate action plan. Okay. One other, so I'll wait a little bit longer for more questions to populate if they arise. But one other common question that we get is about the application deadline. So Evan mentioned that the scholarship deadlines are March 15th. The application deadline for the programs are rolling. So if you are a student that is particularly set on going on one of these programs, definitely apply sooner than later to secure your spot. Additionally, there are no prerequisites to join any of our programs. We just require that the student really shows an interest in the topic and a passion for driving climate action and change in their own communities. So those particular interests you'll want to highlight in your personal statement. But in regards to the content of each of these programs, the experts will provide a lot of background information. So no matter where the student's coming from in their own learning journey of climate, we all start at the same place and grow from there. Okay, so we have a question about the application. So are either of the 200 application fee or the 500 deposit refundable if a student isn't accepted or cannot attend? Evan, did you want to take this one?
I'm happy to answer this live. If a student's application is rejected, then that $700 fee is returned. If a student or a family makes that $700 payment to hold space and is accepted to the program, again, $200 is a non-refundable fee for the application fee. $500 of that $700 goes towards the program fee. But if the family or the student decides to withdraw before March the 15th, that $500 deposit to the program fee would be refunded. If it's after March the 15th, then it would not be. So the entire $700 deposit becomes non-refundable after that date of March the 15th, which is when the program balances are due. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, let's see. Do students travel together from New York or elsewhere to the Green Mountains or the travel destinations, or do they convene at the destinations?
So for our Green Mountains program, students have the option to either fly to the program to, take a bus. They could take a train or be dropped off by their parents by car. I think most students are either dropped off by car or fly in, and the airports that we recommend for the Green Mountains program are Albany International. That's our, first preference because it's closest to campus at Castleton in Vermont, or Bradley, that's BDL in Hartford, Connecticut, or Burlington, Vermont are also options if students who are traveling to the program can't find a direct flight to Albany. But Albany is the preferred airport for students going to the Green Mountains program. For the other Climate Corps programs, we do organize a group flight, and the details of that would be provided to families in the digital locker, where we have comprehensive information provided to all students who are accepted. But basically, we do organize a group flight that the cost of would be added to the family's invoice, and the student would fly with the group from that origin airport to the destination and return with the group flight that's escorted by a Putney student travel leader. Thank you.
Great, and we do have a question regarding the Green Mountains program. So the question is, what would you say is the ratio between the outside hands-on experience versus classroom lecture style learning? So this is a campus-based program, meaning that students are going to have the whole college experience, like living in dorms, spending time on campus, eating in the dining hall, and a component of this learning experience is learning in the college lecture style. However, I will say even the lectures incorporate lots of hands-on activity. So ultimately, I would say it's about a 50-50 split between lectures, like your true lectures, versus activities, experiential learning, excursions. We've taken in the past excursions to Burlington Electric to learn about their particular community-based initiative focused on, it's not your average electrical company, let's just say. We also have a activity workshop where students, it's a simulation of a UN conference where each student represents a country and they have to negotiate the terms of their country in regards to climate change. So we have a lot of different types of learning styles. But there is probably about like 50% lectures versus 50% that experiential outside hands-on learning. Okay, let's see. I think we had, so someone had asked if the application fee or the deposit could potentially be covered by financial aid. So for those of you who are applying for scholarships, this is an entirely different application process. So I would go to our website that outlines the eligibility of the scholarships. And at the bottom, you'll see 3 different components for a scholarship application. They are through a different portal through Google Forms. So in this portal, you are waived of any application fee or deposit for your application in the program. Okay, and then we have another question about when students will be notified of the acceptance in the program. Evan, do you want to take that one live?
I'd be happy to. So again, students who are applying through the main portal, once the $700 payment is made to hold space, they will then submit their applicant statement, the contact information for their 2 educator references, and the agreement form, which is signed digitally by student and parent. The parent does have to log in through their separate login to the digital locker in order to sign that parent portion of the agreement form. For students applying for scholarships, the deadline is 3/15, March the 15th, and applicants can expect to hear a decision by late March or early April. Thank you.
Amazing. And so in regards to the applications and the scholarship information, I'm putting the link in the chat right now. So feel free to go to that website, review all the eligibility and the requirements for the application. And if you do have any questions, we do have our email and phone number at the bottom, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that may arise. Additionally, if you would like direct links to our program pages in the chat, I'm putting in the Climate Corps link as well as the Green Mountains program link. All right. So we have a question. I have questions. Is this program in person Sunday? Which program are you referring to? And are you saying like is Sunday a day of rest? Well, I guess I can just take the piece about Sundays in general. So if a program is 2 weeks long or 3 weeks long, Sundays are days that are fully scheduled and planned. If there is time, I'm not too sure. Maybe Evan could speak to like any scheduling particulars for those who might want to like take time for religious purposes.
So I would say typically on all of our programs, whether they're 2 weeks long, 3 weeks long, or even, a longer program, we don't typically see a weekend day as a day to not, have our regular activities, because it's such a short time that we're able to participate on these programs that we really want to maximize every day. But likely we would have in that 2-week session a excursion day that would likely take place on the weekends, and potentially another weekend day where we would maybe have some activities around campus and be a bit more laid back. But I would say that students can expect to participate in the programming of the program on most every day that they are on campus or traveling with the Climate Corps. But of course, students who may have religious needs to practice, we would obviously accommodate those needs and make sure that a student is supported in having what they would normally be accustomed to.
Thanks, Evan.
Of course.
Okay, and then we have one more question. I'm also going to direct that to you, Evan, in regards to applications. So will we hear back if our application is rejected?
Of course, we will get back to student applicants and families with any decisions promptly. Again, the scholarship application process is a unique process. So decisions, are made after that deadline of March the 15th. So the notifications will happen sometime after that deadline, again, likely late March or early April. For students who are applying through the traditional route, they can expect to hear a decision from the admissions team within a day or two of submitting all their required documents.
Great. All right. Last minute questions, pop them in now. If not, I really appreciate you all joining us today for the past hour to learn about our summer pre-college programs. I hope you all are as excited as we are. We can't wait for the summer to come. If you do have any questions, feel free to contact us. We have our emails here on this last slide, as well as the Putney student travel number if you have any questions about the application process or scheduling of any of our programs. I also invite you to schedule a one-on-one video chat with me. If you have any additional questions that arise down the line, I'd be happy to do some one-on-one chats with folks about any of our programs. And with that, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. Thank you so much to our experts, Dr. Dave Goldberg, Claire Nelson, Laurel DiSera. I really appreciate you joining us. It's been really great to hear from you and your work. And as always, Evan and Julian, thanks for being the representatives of Putney Student Travel. And yeah, hope you all have a great night.